I'm up here at the mine. It's on Sunday, about 12:30, and I was about to get the pump hooked up on the pond to run up to the Trommel, but I've got to do some pipe repair up here first. We had the section of pipe up above in the center of the picture here come off earlier this year, and at that point the water was probably 6 feet higher than it is now, so I was unable to get the coupling put onto the broken piece. Since then, the broken piece is now broken off down here where we make a 45-degree bend. So I'm going to have to support that lower pipe that goes over to our foot valve over in the middle of the pond. The old pump house has got a pretty good lean to it. The wind and the weather has finally taken its toll on it. So we're going to probably pull this pump house down a little bit later, maybe next month. Probably pull out the old motor and pump, as we're using portable pumps now. Alright, I've just finished getting in a patch on this broken section of pipe. I've got the little valve and the 2-inch pipe that heads up to the trommel sitting in front of the camera now. And I've taken a section of our old pipe, put in a coupling and a couple of supports, and I've re-glued the broken pipe down by the 45. Although my glue had begun to gel quite badly, I put some solvent in it to hope get it loosened up a bit. I just smeared it in by hand, got as good a connection as I could made on it, and I'm hoping this will hold up. We'll find out once we get a column of water set up. The one down thing is here where I've got the coupling, we had a second foot valve in there, actually a check valve. We'll see how it holds up as soon as I get the pump hooked up. Our neighbors from the claim adjacent to us here, Jill and Dave, just showed up here. They want to see the trommel run. So do I, so I'm going to give it every effort here to get the pump going. Okay, we've got the pump going. Got a little bit of water leaking out of our outlet side, which is typical. We're lifting our water about 70 feet in elevation, so we get a lot of pressure on the pump side. Water's going up the hill, about 7 feet in elevation, about 1/8 of a mile up to our trommel. As long as everything holds down here for a couple of more minutes, we'll head up the trommel and see how we're doing. Well, we're up here at the trommel flat, and this is our hose coming in. We've got a break a little farther down the road. We're going to fix that here in a minute. It's actually a big leak, but we've got real good pressure coming off the pump. Nothing else is broken. I had to fix one coupling earlier this morning where the pipe itself had broken, but we're filling up our pool. It's about a 4,000-gallon plastic pool we use, and there we are. We've just cut a notch in our plastic pipe that heads over to the trommel, and we're filling the pool. I'll probably pump out some of this scum that's in the pool, but this is about probably 2 years worth of accumulation, so it's really worked out well. And then over here is the old International dump truck. This was an ex-Caltrans dump truck that we picked up, 6 cubic yard. Everything runs great on it. It's our little panning and washing area. This is Dave and Jill here visiting from the claim next door, looking jealously at our equipment up here.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
If they only knew. Then this is looking down on the trommel, and then our waste rock. Normally we dump into a dump truck, our second dump truck, down off the end, but this last year we got lazy and just dumped everything off the end. And then down below is our sluice box. We'll get a shot of all this here in a few minutes after I get the pipe repaired farther up the line. Much of this plastic pipe has been up here for 25 to 30 years. Before, it used to run back over the hill. And it was quite a hassle to get through all the manzanita and the overbrush if we had a pipe break. And the only way we could tell we had a break was if we didn't have any water up the trommel end, so it meant hiking 1/8 of a mile back down to the pond. Up ahead here we can see where we have a crack in the black pipe, possibly a freeze crack, maybe fatigue from the pipe itself, but I'm just going to wrap some heavy black sealant tape around it and then clamp it. And that should increase our pressure up at the other end quite a bit. Probably probably just go ahead and replace this section of pipe maybe in another week or two. And all right, with a little bit of 10 mil PVC pipe wrap and a couple of hose clamps on it, we got a good temporary fix. And this section of pipe, we've got another kind of a weak joint right here, but that's so minor, we don't worry about the small stuff. So we'll probably go ahead and just replace this whole length of pipe up to the orange pipe up farther in the picture. Oh, maybe next weekend when I come up. Yeah, we've got a good flow of water going in now after repairing that leak. And this pool will probably be full here in about another, maybe 30 minutes. And all we did on the pipe here, the pipe heads over towards our trommel, and we just cut a notch in it to allow some degree of flow into the pool. When we open the valves on the trommel for the water wash, this flow does get reduced, but there's always still some positive flow going into the pool. This is a shot of the back end of the dump truck leading down into our chute. Over to the left of the chute here, we've got our control valves for our water pressure that diverts between the trommel feed water and the pool supply water. The chute feeds on down to a narrower chute that goes down into the head end of the trommel. And our trommel is about 15 feet long with about 4 feet of wire screen. It's minus half-inch screen, meaning that anything smaller than ½ inch is going to get through it. And from that screen, we then go down into a belly pan on the side. That belly pan feeds into another little diverter chute that then goes into our sluice box. Being this is the first startup for the year, I'm going to go ahead and turn the water on the trommel. We'll fire the trommel up, pull the cover off the sluice box, and then show the actual thing in operation. Just open up the feed valve to our trommel, so we've got water going through the trommel tube, which we'll see in a minute. But this is how much water we've still got going into the pool, even when we have our trommel wash water running. Down at the trommel level right now, there's our chute coming down. I'm on the south side of the trommel, and this is a side view of it. It's powered by a 5.5 horsepower Honda motor that has a gear reduction unit on the side of it. And we just use tension to pull the motor plate up tight to get tension on the belts to drive this. And then the drive on the trommel itself, I believe, is probably out of an old overhead crane. It's just been turned upside down. There's flanged wheels that are all gear driven. This thing has been worn out so bad. It's got a lot of repairs that I've done. A lot of the fabrication. This belly pan underneath the trommel screen area, we fabricated that year before last. And then the little turning box, I fabricated that. And also the sluice box, which we'll get a shot of as I go over to the other side. The trommel is sitting at about a 3-degree angle. It's about a 3-foot diameter. And there's a polyurethane roller about in the center of the screen right now, and that is riding against the big outer ring to keep the trommel tube from riding downhill and up against the flanges of the drive wheels as it originally had been run. You can see the flange wheels have been broken out just because there was nothing else to restrain that tube from rolling downhill. Now as I go around the other side of the platform here, this is looking down on our tailing pile from last year. In the distance is our settling pond. And this is the end of the little dump chute. And then this is looking up inside the trommel tube. Shows the spray of wash water going down. We're going to fire the trommel up here in just a minute so you can see the actual operation. And then this is a sluice box that I built here 2.5 years ago. It's 10 feet long, 18 inches wide, made of 16 gauge steel. What we do is we use a ribbed carpeting in 2 4-foot sections that we lay in the bottom of the trough. We then lay this expanded metal grating over the top to work as riffle material, and then that's wedged down tight by those pressure treated 2x4s that are held down with little wedges that go into the clips. As you can see the clip in the middle of the screen. So material, as it comes down the chute, goes into the trommel tube, which is turning. It then hits the screen area. All the oversized material goes out and off into the end. We would normally have a dump truck off the end of the chute, but as I said, we got lazy last year and didn't use the dump truck. The minus ½ inch material drops down into the belly pan, goes into the little turner pan, and then down into the sluice box. We capture probably 90% of our gold in the first 4 feet of carpeting. The second 4 feet, again, we get maybe 10% of our gold on there. Mostly the fine stuff, like a -500 mesh. Then our wash water and fines go on down this little channel we cut here and then over to the settling pond. Here I've got our 1-inch pump running right now to get some supplemental wash water down. We had a big buildup of material inside the trommel tube which caused it not to spin. So we head down past our little panning area. See the trommel tube turning. We haven't set up our sluice box because we're not really running any material right now, but at least you get an idea of how the operation goes. I'm going to walk around the other side of the trommel if I can do it without breaking my neck. See our wash water going through the sluice and down through our little tail race here. Wash water coming out of the turning box. Trommel tube, screen area working. Again, trommel screen is -1/2 inch. That is anything smaller than 1/2 inch will go through the screen. Anything over that is oversized and goes over into our waste pile. Just about all of our gold at this claim is all very small gold. A lot of fine gold, some smaller stuff. There have been some pickers. Shot inside the trommel tubes. Our antique gearing still running. Again, this trommel is powered with a 5.5 horsepower Honda motor with a gear reduction unit on it. Trommel tube, if we ran 8 hours a day, we could probably process 50 yards of material. The most material we've ever run in one day is about 30 yards. We did that from about 11 o'clock in the morning until about 4 in the afternoon. The sluice box is set up so that it can be belt driven with a 2-speed washing machine motor. I've got the motor off now because we built up so much silt and sediment from last season that the motor was getting buried and shorting out. It's being an electric motor. The box has about a 3/4 inch throw to it and has helped us recover -500 mesh gold in the first 4 feet of the ripples in the box. It's worked out extremely well. Very efficient. You can see our settling pond. Waters are going over there. We have no problems with Fish and Game or any of the other regulatory authorities with regard to our wash water. Everything is contained on site. It's about 4:45, and we've been doing a lot of other work here, running the water through the trommel. So we didn't have a full supply, but the pool is getting pretty close to being full. And we're getting pretty close to wrapping it up now. Been a full day up here at the mine just getting stuff prepped. We hope to be running here in a couple of weeks once we get the motor replaced on our loader. We've got a bunch of ground up here that we can be digging in. We did a magnetometer survey earlier this year that gives us a couple of real good spots to look into. So that's going to be about it for this tour of our mine today.